All right, guys, got an interesting one today. Picked this Kawasaki KX450 up the other day. It is a 2017. Listing said that it had a recluse clutch. So I went and obviously piqued my interest a little bit. Originally had it listed for $3,000, and we ended up walking away with this guy for $1,800. A couple things I noticed right off the jump. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but the fork seals have definitely gone bad, so it's probably going to need a fork seal replacement. And then the other thing was that I wasn't able to actually take the clutch cover off. I asked him if it was just the recluse clutch cover or if it actually had a recluse clutch, and he didn't really seem to know. So that was a little concerning. And then I also took the seat off and looked at the air box and the air filter, and it looked really sandy. It looked like the air filter it hadn't been changed in forever, and it just looked disgusting. I also found a lot of sand, and the guy said that he never rode on dunes, so that makes it seem like he probably never changed the air filter or even took the seat off. So I think this guy really just kind of got in over his head, didn't really know much about motorcycles, and kind of just wanted to buy one. And but yeah, so just a little walk around. I did fire it up before I bought it, and it does run. He said, seller claimed that it was a bit sticky in first gear, and he couldn't find neutral. But I found neutral just fine. So he said that the clutch needs to be adjusted and it leaks oil. So let's go ahead and get her in the shop and see what we can see. So as I'm taking a look at this thing a little bit more, looks like this clutch lever is a bit loose here. Should be able to pretty easily take care of that if we put a washer or some sort of gasket right in between here, maybe, or even maybe just tightening up the bolt could take care of that. The grips are a bit worn, as you can see there. What else? Oh, another thing. When I went and rode it, there was two buttons. There was this guy over here, which on my CRF, I have the same button, and that is my kill switch. And so originally when I got on, I saw the two buttons. I saw that it had this one and it had this button over here. And I was like, well, what does this one go to? And he's like, oh, that's the, what did he say? Launch control. It's a launch control button. So I believe that's aftermarket. I'm not sure if it comes stock on this. And then just standard kill switch button here. So yeah. As we're getting down and looking closer here, he said that he replaced the clutch cable. So this looks like a very new clutch cable here. It looks very shiny. Looks like it has no hours on it at all, basically. I'm gonna go ahead and get this off the stand and drain the oil and see what the oil looks like.
You got a scrub brush, right?
Okay, so as I'm inspecting this, before I drain the oil, I kind of want to figure out where the oil leak is coming from. And I noticed there's a spot right here on this little rail where there's oil. And I noticed that there's some oil on this side. However, I don't believe that the only way that oil could have gotten there is if it dripped off of the case like somewhere over here and then worked its way down. So I think what happened was the oil, there's also another drip right here, right by the drain bolt right here. So I think what was happening was the oil is probably leaking from this drain bolt here, and it was dripping where that drip is coming down right now, and it was getting on the skid plate. And I think it was, as it was like on the skid plate, it was going into this section right here and working its way down and just kind of like getting oil everywhere. So the next thing I'm going to do is drop this bolt right here and see what the oil looks like, and see if we have any like messed up threads. It also doesn't appear, well, it does look like there's a crush washer on there, but it looks pretty crusty, so we'll take a look at that too. Oh, wow. Look at that.
What?
Almost no oil in this thing.
Really?
All right, guys, so I'm about 70% sure I found the reason for the oil leak. This oil drain bolt right here, it had a washer on it that was thicker. So this is recessed right here. The case is recessed where the bolt goes in. And it is designed so that this bolt fits in that recession like perfectly. The washer that was on this was actually like bigger, like the circumference was bigger than this bolt. So somebody put a crush washer on there that was not like the correct size. And so what was happening was that crush washer was actually hitting against this recessed part. And so the bolt wasn't able to be seated all the way against, like all the way in. And that kind of makes sense because we saw some oil leaking like right here. We saw a drip. There's a drip right there. And like all of like the major drips were happening like around this oil drain bolt. And the seller actually did say that he thought the leak was coming from the oil drain bolt. So if I had to put money on it, I would say that that's where the oil leak is coming from. So we're going to go ahead and get a fresh crush washer on there, and that should hopefully solve the leaking oil problem. All right, we got a fresh crush washer. Should be the right size. Let's get this guy on here. That was that little indent in the case that I was talking about. No gaps. Hopefully that does the trick. I got it. The oil filter looks okay. There's some very, very small pieces of, I don't know if you can see in there, but there are a tiny, tiny few bit of metal shavings in there, but I think it should be okay. I'll tell you what though, this thing was really, really challenging to get out. But yeah, oil filter looks okay. All right, oil's been drained, just checked the filter, everything looks okay. I'm gonna take this clutch cover off and see what we got underneath here. Oh, dude, look at that. Recluse torque drive clutch. That is a very, very good sign because that means that this bike just got worth a lot more money. So, yeah, I'm surprised that he never took the clutch cover off to see whether it actually was a Recluse or not. But as you can see, we have a similar wear pattern here, so I'm not exactly sure what's causing this. It looks like maybe they put the wrong, maybe they ordered the wrong clutch for this bike, and it's rubbing against right here. Because something tells me that this is not like factory. I don't think that this is. All right, so I just got off the phone with the guy from Recluse, and I was asking about this wear mark. So I gave him some part numbers, and he said that this clutch cover does go to this bike. He said that this clutch goes to this bike as well. And so he suggested that I take the pressure plates out and the inner plates, make sure that there's 12 of each. So I just did that. There's 12 friction plates and 12 of the sliding plates, the inner plates. So we're good there. And then I took this cover off and verified that the bolt that is holding on the basket and all that is torqued down to 50 foot-pounds. And then he said, put the clutch plate back on and then pull the clutch in and then let it out and see if this hits. So I did that and it wasn't hitting. So my guess is that this wear was from something before. Maybe they put it in the wrong bike, or they put the wrong cover, or maybe they put an extra disc in there or something like that. So that would be my guess for the wear pattern, but seeing as how the clutch actuates just fine, I think we should be okay. Okay, so we did some off-camera work. We got the gas tank off, we got the head off. Kind of a dunce. I forgot my shim kit at my stepdad's house, so I'm gonna have to go and grab my shim kit so that I can check the valve clearances. So for now, we'll just do some other stuff while we can. I'm gonna go ahead and take the subframe off right now, and then gonna disconnect it from the throttle body, or I believe that's what that's called, the throttle body right here. Gonna disconnect that, and then I'm gonna give that a good clean. We actually did order a new front and rear sprocket along with a new chain. So I've always found the easiest way is to just cut the chain off. We're not gonna be reusing this chain, so I'll go ahead and do that on camera as well. All you really need is a grinder to cut that off, and it should come off pretty easily. Okay guys, so we were able to fix the wobbly clutch lever. All I did was took a crescent, held this, and then it's an 8mm up here, just tightened it down just a bit, and as you can see, she pulls just fine. So we will consider the wobbly clutch lever fixed. I actually went out and drew a list of things that I wanted to complete. So take off subframe and clean. We did do that off camera. We got the subframe off, we got the rear tire off, we cleaned the exhaust as well. So we will consider that done. Check valve clearances. Still need to get my shim kit from my stepdad, so we will wait on that guy. Replace chain sprocket air filter. We have removed all of that stuff, but still waiting on the parts to come in. We fixed the wobbly clutch lever. So another thing that we can do while we're waiting for these two things is deep clean. Another thing I wanted to mention was I got these, like this brush kit that can be screwed in. It's Ryobi brand, but it can be screwed into a drill, and this thing is an absolute lifesaver. It made cleaning the wheel and the subframe and all of that super easy. The kit that I bought came with 4 different heads, so you got that one, this one. There's this blue one that's pretty soft, I guess, for softer surfaces. And then there's also this yellow one. So if you guys are gonna try to flip a dirt bike or really anything that needs to be cleaned, I highly recommend getting these drill brushes. So this is something that I wanted to mention while I'm taking this off. It did take me a little bit, it took me a few minutes to get this off, but there is a clamp that goes around this air box right here that attaches to the throttle body right there. And it can be very, very annoying to get this subframe off. So once you take all the bolts off, like here, to the subframe. Basically, the only thing holding it onto the bike is the clamp that goes on to like right there. And so what I do is I just take like this is a bearing puller or a seal puller tool from Powerbuilt. So what I do is I just kind of work the bearing puller like up underneath that clamp and just kind of like give it a little tug until it comes free. Obviously loosen the clamp bolt first, but that usually ends up being a pretty good way to get it off in my experience. So I kind of messed up a little bit. The grinder kind of flew up into the bottom of this arm. I mean, shouldn't be a big deal, but just be very careful. Make sure that you're wearing safety protection. But yeah, just cut the chain off. So now we will just pull this guy right out. Just like that.
Okay, so we have the new sprocket here. It's a Renthal. Comes with 2 stickers, which is really nice, but look at how clean this sprocket is. It's a very gorgeous sprocket. All right, we're gonna throw this on. I am gonna speed up the video just because it is pretty repetitive and it's pretty simple. You just line up the holes and then nut underneath, bolt on top, and then that's all you really do. So gonna speed it up from here. So before I put this tire on, it's usually a good idea to try to anti-seize the shaft here. Just helps it slide a little bit easier and makes it a lot easier when you go to change tires, or if you have a sand tire or something, just makes it a lot easier. So we're gonna do that. If you put too much, it'll come out on the sides when you shove it in and try to screw down the bolt on the other side. So I just do a little amount, help it slide a little bit easier. All right, I'm not saying by any means that this is a good idea, but if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. This is where I need to cut the new chain so that it'll fit on the tire. I already measured it. And basically, I don't have a vise or anything, so I'm just using a little 90-degree pick. I'm gonna step on that to pull it tight, and then I'm just gonna grind these nubs off, and then this will come free.
to shim the valves. So pulling some info online, it looks like the intake is a 0.08 millimeter to 0.12 millimeter. So the valve kit, or the feeler gauge set that I have goes from 0.076, so just under the 0.8, and it goes just over the 0.12 that is our maximum clearance. So hopefully this one should fit into both of them, and this one should not fit into either of them. So ideally it would be somewhere in between here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're going to start with the smallest feeler gauge. I should preface by saying that you should be at top dead center, which is going to look like this line right here needs to be parallel with the case. And this dot right here should also be parallel with the case here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and stick our feeler gauge in. So we're sticking our feeler gauge in between this little bucket right here, this little bucket, and this lobe, and then same thing on this guy. So here's the smallest feeler gauge, and that fits in there just fine. You can see it come out the other side. This is for the intake, and then same thing on the other one, comes out just fine. So now we're gonna move to the 0.12. This should fit into both of them. 0.12 fits in the intake right side just fine. And it doesn't want to go into the other one. So as you can see there, it won't fit into there. And since I don't have an intermediate size, another thing that we can do is try to come from the other side. Yeah, it doesn't want to go. So the right one is a bit looser than the left one, but they should both be in spec, because if the 0.1 won't fit, but the 0.76 will fit, then this should be somewhere between 0.76 and 0.1, which is within our spec. Okay, now for the exhaust, it looks like we got 0.14 to 0.18. On my feeler gauge set, I have 0.152 and almost 0.18. So hopefully both of these fit in there and it'll make it easy on us. So let's give that a shot right now. We'll start with the 0.15. On the exhaust lobe, okay, as you can see, that slides in there nice and easy. Let's try the other one. It's a bit trickier. You can see it poke out the other side there. So those both fit in there. Okay, now I'm gonna try the 0.178. So this is the closest to 0.78, and that will not go. Let's try on the other one. That also will not go. So we know that our exhaust is going to be somewhere between 1.5, I think it was 2, and 1.78. So since it's between 1.5 and 1.78, we know that our exhaust is within spec as well. guys, that one's gonna wrap up this video. So to conclude, we got the bike for $1,800. We spent about $200 just on the sprocket and the chain and the new drain bolt and all that stuff. And then we basically just figured out what was wrong with the clutch rubbing, sort of. We fixed that wobbly clutch lever. We fixed the oil leak problem. We gave the bike a pretty deep clean. What else? Obviously, new front and rear sprocket, new chain, new air filter, forgot about that. And I think, oh, and we also checked the valve clearances. So this bike is good to go. It rips. I actually rode it around a little bit and it is pretty fun. The front wheel pulls up in first gear just by giving it throttle. So it's got plenty of power. So yeah, all in all, in at about $2,000, and we have a confirmed buyer for this bike for $4,000. So we made a little $2,000 profit on this guy. And yeah, so we have a couple more project bikes here in the garage that we're going to be working on. So stay tuned for all things dirt bike and flipping and making money.